Mountains can be unforgiving environments. In a single day, you can experience everything from sunny morning skies to having hail fall down on you by lunchtime. With extremities like that, why on earth would we consider going out to them to be any fun? There's some benefits to it. The American Psychological Association states that exposure to nature, even a stroll through the park or some of the long, arduous hikes that I'm going to talk about a little later today, can lead to a host of benefits. These include a reduction in stress, an increase in our focus. They've even been linked to upticks in empathy and cooperation. I believe that who we are up there and how it is that we handle ourselves is a direct reflection of how we carry ourselves in the day-to-day. That's why I want to talk to you today and share 3 of my experiences out in nature that have helped me both build growth and resilience. So the year is 2015 and we're in Colorado. On this day, I'm attempting to summit my first 14er. A 14er is a word that's used to describe any mountain summit that is above 4,200 feet in elevation. And as easy as it may seem from here, these type of hikes will challenge you physically as well as mentally. To reach a summit like this can take 4 to 6 hours. Depending on the season, the trail itself may be completely blocked off by snow, and so you'll need some route finding skills as well. Thousands of steps in and hours later, my body is starting to feel fatigued. And what that fatigue is doing is it's starting to create a negative feedback loop. I'm starting to become quite toxic. I'm being vocal about it. I'm complaining an awful lot. And I mean an awful lot. And you can see it right there. And so what's happening in this moment is my wife suggests, hey, why don't we just take a pause, soak up the scenery, see how you feel. Maybe we can go back down if you want or continue. Secretly, she's hoping that, of course, we reach the summit. But what I realized later on that she was trying to do was create a shift in mindset. I sit down, start to take a break. Really all I can think about is taking off these tight-fitting boots on me and have like a delicious cheeseburger and an ice cold beer. That's the truth. But as that's happening, a hiker is coming up and they see me looking like this and they say, hey, you're almost at the top. It's just another 10 more minutes. And I allow that to sink in a little bit, and it starts to percolate in my mind. A minute or so after that, a hiker's coming on the way down. By this point, I'm sprawled out completely on the floor looking lifeless, and they see me and they say, hey, the view is magnificent up there, and you are so close. I hope you get to see it. Having this new words of encouragement, soaking up the views, I've rested for a little bit. The shift in momentum has happened, and so we decide to push on forward. I'd be lying to you if I told you that it actually took just 10 minutes to get up there. The reality is that at 4,000 meters of elevation, every single step that you take through some of this hard terrain is hard and heavy, and the air is so thin that even though you try to fill up your lungs, you just can't. So you have to move slow, and you're getting tested every step of the way. And the best way to do it is to break it up and say, hey, it's just another 10 more minutes. And so on this day, we eventually make it up to the summit, and you get to soak up and view this expansive view of the Rocky Mountains. But what becomes most satisfying on this day is knowing that you were able to overcome this voice in your mind that was telling you to stop when things became easy because you were trying to find that place of comfort. Knowing that you were able to push yourself beyond your means and that it wasn't actually your body that was trying to stop you from doing what you were doing. It was your mind. And by taking that shift in mindset, you were able to push forward. I believe that if you can hold on to this memory and this feeling, that the next time that you have one of these difficult situations come up in your life again, you can call back to it and use it as a fuel to keep you going. But that puts me to ask the question in the room is, how can we all be more like the mountain goat? An animal that thrives in some of the most harsh environments, that moves with agility and confidence on some of the most unstable footing. I have a few tips for you about that here today. The first, on the next time that you're planning a big move, a career change, a big project deadline is coming up and it's causing you some stress, try breaking it up into smaller tasks. Give yourself the ability to have some of these small or quick wins. They've been tied to increase your motivation, and that increased motivation can allow you to stick through the course. Second, challenge your thoughts. As my wife was trying to create on that day for me, by telling me to take a break and soak up the scenery, that shift in mindset, zooming out, can allow you to recommit and focus to the mission at hand. Remember why are you there and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And finally, this one's very important. Allow yourself some positivity. Today, you're going to hear me talk about this. Too often, we talk negatively to ourselves. We talk and say, oh, look at how much further I have to go. Instead, try saying something like, look at how far it is that you've come. The second story I want to share with you is about one of my favorite sports and pastimes, which is to ski. And as a complete new beginner, surrounded by 5-year-olds at the age of 27, I have to admit that I felt quite old. The first few days that I was out here, I could barely stand, I wasn't able to keep any balance, and I was falling every single time. In fact, there was very little skiing, if any at all. At the same time that this is happening, the people that I'm going out with are very good to great skiers. And the first couple of times that I'm going out here, I'm measuring how well I'm doing by seeing what it is that they're able to do on the mountain. And very early on, I realized that this is the wrong way for us to measure how we're doing or our success in something. When you recognize that you can't compare yourself as a beginner to somebody who's been doing this for a long time, you break that barrier that's causing you to be the limiting factor. And so within a period of 2 years, I was able to progress from my 5-year-old buddies on the bunny slopes, where we learned to go down a mountain by shaping your skis like fries, and then stopping by shaping your skis like a pizza, to coming down some of the highest and hardest terrain on the mountain that isn't even serviced by lifts. But I'm far from being an expert. The reality is that I fall hard every single time. But I've accepted that's absolutely part of the journey. Skiing is a complex sport that can require a lifetime for you to master, but I'm there for it every single time. And so for those of you who are trying to learn a new sport, learn how to play an instrument, perhaps you are choosing to do a career change altogether, how do we collectively set ourselves up for success by adopting that beginner's mindset? It can be very hard when we're so used to being experts at what we're already known to do. For this, the first step I would say is to adopt a growth mindset. Carol Dweck, an author of the book Mindset, an American psychologist, describes cultivating a growth mindset as a way of viewing setbacks and challenges. People who have a growth mindset fully recognize that we have some skills that are limited when we're trying something new. But these same individuals believe that with time, practice, dedication, these skills can be improved upon. Curate your team of experts. What helped me advance from the bunny slopes to the double black diamonds was that I leaned in to those team of experts, the people who were good at doing the black diamonds, at doing everything on that mountain. It wasn't just getting tips, but it was this willingness to just go wherever it was that they went without the fear of falling or what that would look like, which leads me to the third step, is be fearless. On that mountain, I realized that some of the quickest skiers are actually the 5-year-olds. Within hours, you'll see them start going down the mountain, and within days, they'll be going down some double black diamonds. I don't think this has to do with the fact that they're more motorally skilled than we are, to be honest. If you see them, they can be a little bit clumsy in their day-to-day. What I do believe, though, is that kids go by instinct, and they don't have the fear of whether they're going to look silly, They're not afraid to fail. And these two characteristics are traits that as adults, we concern ourselves with very much. So tap into that inner child, into that mindset, and just go, be fearless. The third story, and final one that I wish to share with you, is very close to my heart. This trip took place last year in the Grand Canyon for what should have been a very tame guys trip. It was the first time down there in the Grand Canyon for everybody here. On the day that we showed up, we decided at the last minute that we wanted to hike all the way down to the bottom of the canyon. And something that you should know is that in the summer, the weather at the top can be 20 degrees Celsius, but within an hour and a half of hiking down, you can experience temperatures as high as 45 degrees. This can lead to a heat stroke, and in fact, it's the most common emergency call response each and every year on the Grand Canyon. On this day, we faced a challenge very similar for us. One of my friends suffers from a heart condition. An hour and a half in, we're noticing that he's very tired, very out of breath, while the rest of us are feeling fine, and he's being vocal about it. So we sit down. I give him my watch so that we can check what his heart rate is. And we notice that his rate is skyrocketed at about 175 beats per minute after resting for a period of 15 minutes. To put that in perspective, 175 beats per minute is what you might experience if you sprinted out this door right now, ran up a flight of 15 stairs, and then checked to see what your pulse was. The situation was dangerous. We didn't have any cell reception, and we had very little water and didn't really know what to do. What I can tell you is that on this day, my friend was in a panic attack. He himself wasn't sure of what would happen, but he wanted to speak to his family, communicate his situation. In this moment, with an outcome that is uncertain, we chose to try to calm our friend down, cool him down with whatever water we had then and whatever water we could collect, and try to make our way out of the canyon. Because staying there, we didn't know what would end up happening. We got to a point where the search and rescue team was able to come and provide aid, check on him. That day we ended up walking out of the canyon and everybody was safe and sound. But this story is really about the fact that oftentimes in life, we're going to encounter high stressful situations with these uncertain outcomes, and we can freeze in the moment. And so how do we overcome a situation like that? The first step for this that I'd say is focus on what you can control. Think about the pandemic and COVID and how many of us often thought or hoped for a different outcome, that the vaccine would arrive faster, that it wouldn't be here at all, but it serves us no purpose. At this point in time, we have to choose and we have to act. And that leads me to step 2, is seldomly are we in control of our external situations, but what we are in control in is how we choose to react to them. And finally, be flexible. Be open to the possibility of what you haven't imagined yet. Oftentimes, this flexibility, malleability, this openness can present some really intuitive solutions that might have been hidden from you at first glance. Just like mountains, life is full of its peaks and valleys. And I believe that who we are up there, how we handle ourselves, is a direct reflection of how we're going to carry ourselves in the day-to-day. I know that every time that I hop on a trail or put a pair of skis on, that I'm going to learn something new. And I believe that by adopting a growth mindset and exercising that resiliency, that the next time that all of us face this moment of uncertainty with an unpredictable outcome, that we'll be able to better handle that. Mountains are unpredictable. It can get very messy out there, but they're absolutely beautiful. And after all, isn't that exactly what life is like? Thank you.